are live. Thank you so much for joining us today for our third Thursday Common Sense Parenting Facebook Live. My name is Gabby, and I am joined here with Bridget Barnes. Hi, Bridget.
Hi, Gabby.
And today we're going to be discussing the topic teaching teens how to build healthy relationships and friendships. Now, this topic ties in very well with the month of February because February is actually National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So, throughout this Facebook Live, we're going to be talking all about different ways to help your teen understand what a healthy relationship looks like, what healthy friendships look like, and how to form them and make sure that they're long lasting and healthy. So, Bridget, thank you so much for joining us. This topic, I'm sure, is one many families could benefit from hearing. So I'm excited to get started.
Me too.
The first question we had submitted, this one, is a great introduction. It's what are the qualities of a healthy relationship? So if we're trying to explain to our teenagers what a healthy relationship looks like, what might we tell them?
Well, when you want to sit down and talk with your kids about what is involved in a healthy relationship, I would probably bring up four key things. One is mutual care. You have to have that in a healthy relationship. That other person has to care about you as much as you care about them. And does the relationship make you happy, or do you find yourself being sad and crying most of the time versus feeling happy and to be with that person? Does that relationship build your confidence, or does it make you feel less than? And last but certainly not least, do you feel supported? Or do you feel like you have self worth in that relationship, or does the relationship make you feel less than? So, confidence, self worth, happiness, and mutual care, key things to be talking about in healthy relationships. And when those things, even one, are not there, you'll want to really take a close look at that.
Yeah. So, how can we explain these qualities to our kids as qualities to model and look for in these relationships and friendships?
Well, I think when it comes to talking about the qualities of a healthy relationship, you'll want to definitely sit down and talk about, well, try to be more proactive than reactive. Don't wait for your child to be in a really bad relationship and start having this conversation. And talk to your kid about expectations you have in their relationships based on their age and their experience, and what expectations they have for the relationship so they can know what they want to be looking for in a person and where they want to be in that relationship with that person. Uh,
Right.
Prepare your child by modeling a healthy relationship. Kids learn more by what they see than what we say. So having that healthy relationship, and take the time to be involved and interested in your child's relationship. You don't have to be, a helicopter parent. You just really need to have conversations, be open to talking to them. I think if you'll worry less if you teach more. And what I mean
Yes.
by that is, is you know what I mean by that, don't you? Get is that it's important to really give kids the skill set that they need to be able to negotiate a relationship and know when it's healthy and when it's not healthy, and encourage them to take responsibility for their own well-being. Yeah. I
Right.
think when you get in a relationship and it's all about the other person and not about your well-being, then you can kind of fall prey to unhealthy relationships, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, it's better for us as parents to be proactive rather than reactive. So, for many of our teens, this is a lot of their first relationships. And so, with that inexperience, they're not always sure what to look for. So, I think equipping them with those skills beforehand. So, when they become interested in dating, they kind of know what qualities to look for in that person. So, I think that's great advice. Um, the next question is what are some qualities parents can look for in unhealthy teen relationships?
Mm.
So if parents are suspecting their teenager, might not be in the best relationship or the best kind of friendship, what should they be looking for?
Yeah. I'm a little old school. I think my gut, I know my kid, know your kid, know there's something's not right. They might not be telling you everything, but they're not eating, they're not acting right, they're not sleeping right, they're not hanging out. You can see if that person is around your kid and there's no give and take in that relationship. It's all about him or all about her. There's no flexibility for change. It has to be this certain way. When that person doesn't let the relationship grow or let the person grow in the relationship, there's something wrong there. And, I think it's really important that they look for another healthy relationship. If you have a young child and this is the first time they're beginning to date, is to look at, let's find what looks like a healthy relationship. Does your relationship look like that or not? And why is that? So yeah, kind of looking at those three things, I would start there. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Any kind of, behavior changes, I think, could definitely be leading to an unhealthy relationship. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a very similar question, and I'm sure is one that quite a few parents have maybe dealt with. So this mom says, my teen daughter and her boyfriend seem to break up and get back together every other week. She knows that this relationship is negatively affecting her daughter's mental health, but no matter how many times she tries to talk to her about ending it for good, she can't seem to let it go. What advice do you have?
Well, it's kind of normal for teenagers to break up and make up a lot. It's kind of what happens, but um, it's important to look for those red flags again, the things I mentioned earlier. So if they're breaking up and making up and those red flags aren't there, there is a lot of give and take. That person does make you feel self-worth, and it is flexibility in the relationship, and looks healthy like other healthy relationships, and they just broke up and made up. But if it's constantly breaking up and making up, and then there's all these red flags, you'll definitely want to have conversation and intervention if necessary. If your child does break up, allow them to talk to you about it without judgment. Be open to that and just listen versus trying to change their mind. You can help them problem solve and talk through. And lots of times they'll come up with some answers like, yeah, that's exactly right, when we learn to listen and encourage them to assess their relationship in comparison to other relationships. And sometimes when they're so focused in on this person, they're not seeing the bigger
Mm-hmm.
situation, right?
Yeah, the big picture. Yeah.
Yeah. When my stepdaughter, she broke up, and I said, well, I want you to just take a step back and wait. Don't go back into the relationship so quickly. Give it a 30-day. Oh, he's going to leave me. And I'm like, well, in 30 days, if that person's willing to leave you in 30, then they really weren't there. They weren't that invested. And then when you start back up, start with some group uh, dates where you're in a group. You're not one on one with that person, right? And then they'll be around other healthy people. Maybe that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. And two, I think we have quite a few questions occasionally that get submitted of, my teen is interested in dating. What should I let them do and what should I not let them do? And group dates, that is a great recommendation because in a lot of ways, it's more of a group of teens hanging out and the pressure's kind of taken off. So if you are a parent that is, struggling with the idea of letting your teenager go out and be on, a real official one-on-one date, start with group dates.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start. And I might sound corny, but um, if a person breaks up and makes up, I would suggest they start all over again. Don't start in that relationship where you broke up at. He has to court you and date you from the beginning. And, yeah, so you have to have those, definitely several hours, 300 hours of FaceTime before any kind of intimacy is happening there. So I would just really start all over again or even use a written contract, depending on the age of the child and what has occurred, so that you can always say, look, we said that you're not going to stay out after this. We said you're going to do group dates, and this is what you agreed to in order to date. So, hey,
Right.
because they forget. Kids forget. They're like, I don't remember
I don't remember talking about that, Mom. I think, yeah, that's great. And starting from the beginning, too, like you said, that could in turn, prevent these teenagers from running into maybe the problems that they had previously in their relationship right before they broke up. So, um, like you said, taking it slow and really, allowing them time to get to know each other and spend that quality time together in groups is a great idea. So, great. The next question is regarding friendships. So, how can my teen deal with being excluded from their friend group?
Well, talk to your teen about being their own best friend. I think sometimes we have to feel like we have to be in a crowd and we have to be accepted by everybody, but you really should like yourself and be okay with being alone. It's not a bad thing. And picking a few great friends versus having a whole bunch of people online that love you. Do they really? So it's probably a good idea to, uh, do a little bit of that with your kid and talk about, having some exclusive friends that you really can count on and they really are your friends. If you have one good friend, it's more than enough than having a lot of not so good friends. Be again available to listen to your teen about their feelings and their thoughts about being excluded. Sometimes just talking that out and being heard, and someone will listen to me, helps that teen feel better because sometimes they are going to be excluded. It just unfortunately is part of a teen life. And so you don't have to feel like you have to make it all better and get them included in everything. Sometimes they need to be okay that sometimes I'm going to be excluded. So what am I going to do differently, or what can I do on my own?
Right.
So I think that's no. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's so much harder now, too, especially in the day of social media where, the teenagers see their friends on Snapchat and on Instagram story and they're all hanging out, but they weren't invited. Whereas, back in the day, you wouldn't really know if people were hanging out without you. So I think also giving your child ways to cope, like when they are at home and they do see these groups hanging out, what are some things they can do in that moment to make themselves feel better or, try not to worry about it. Or maybe it's spending family time or spending time with, like you said, one really good friend is worth, 1,000 less bad friends, so
Yeah, and talking about it, talking it out, because sometimes you can talk about their experiences in the past. Well, you hung out with so and so before, and what happened there? Well, so and so did this, and everybody got in trouble, and it was all boring anyway. And and I'm saying so. It might not in a Snapchat or a little picture. It looks like the best thing ever, but when you're actually in those situations, sometimes the picture doesn't tell the whole story. So.
yeah, it's definitely not all it seems. So
Right.
that's great advice. Okay, so the next one is my teenager is having a hard time fitting in and building healthy and long lasting friendships. We recently moved cities and he is at a new school.
Yeah, going to a new school, really hard thing to do. And I've been that person and was bullied, and it was not a good experience. I was popular at my old school, and then all of a sudden I was on the bottom of the list at my new school. So it was kind of a culture shock. But then my mom said something important to me. It's kind of, I can't remember exactly, but she said, um, you don't have to fit in. It's okay to stand out. Okay. And so given that permission, I think it's great to give kids permission to be different, to stand out, to not to try to make themselves fit in
Mhm.
to a group that goes against their values or thinking what they want to do with their lives, right? And then kind of provide that your child encouragement again to be their own good friend. It's fine to do things on your own, to explore on your own, to find out who you are. And when you find out who you are, you'll find out who you want to be around. Maybe you don't know that yet, and you're just following the pack or going with someone else when you really don't know what you want or what your values are. So have those kind of conversations. On the Boys Town site, there's a really good article up there online It's called A Good Friend and How to Make One and How to Be One.
Hmm.
And I think that might be, using those kind of sites, parents can start those kind of conversations if they see that their kid is struggling to fit in by maybe having them look at that article and then discuss it.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to link that article in the comments section of this video so you guys are able to access it just right there. So, yes, that is very, very hard switching schools. So, I think that's great advice. The next one is my daughter is spending a lot of time with her new boyfriend, and I am worried she is neglecting time with her friends. How can I teach her to balance these relationships better?
Hmm. Well, I would say, suggest that she set some time aside specifically for her friends. That's not boyfriend time. That's my girlfriends, and that shouldn't move. And she should make time for other people in her lives, whether it's family or friends. And also maybe try to include that boyfriend in with activities with her friends or with her family. So it's not just always her being pulled away from everyone, but it's him being included in things. And you're going to learn a lot from somebody when they start hanging out with your family and friends in regards to their ability and their values and their thinking. Um, Ask her how her friends see the boyfriend. You might learn she might get some insight
That
into
could be
uh,
telling.
it is. It's very. I remember having a conversation with some girlfriends about someone I was dating that I was totally oblivious to. I had
Right.
rose-colored glasses on regarding this person, and they were like, "Let me tell you one thing." I was like, okay.
This is what we think, right? Oh man.
And you can take that with a grain, but some of the things were true. I mean, they're giving good examples and had some like, this is what we're seeing. This is not good. So, yeah. And the good, another, I was, when you told me we were having this talk, I went up online and there's a questionnaire on the Boys Town site, relationship questionnaire. And it's a good
Yeah,
one to take, right?
we have the quiz. Hmm.
Yeah. So I would say, when you're kind of concerned about a boyfriend, have your daughter take the quiz, have him take the quiz, talk about the quiz and, what things need to change and be better.
Yeah, we'll link that quiz in the comment section. I think it's called like signs that your relationship might be unhealthy, and
Oh,
it's a questionnaire, so you can get some answers that way. But I think another good thing to do, just like you said, of dividing up time. I remember I had friends who were dating, and they would do, Friday night of the weekend is spent with friends, Saturday night with my boyfriend and his family, and then, every week it changes. But we always made a point to have, one night of the weekend at least in high school be, a friend night. So I definitely think it can be hard to balance, especially when you're in a new relationship and, they're super excited about it. Like I said, it's their first boyfriend, girlfriend, and they just want to spend, as much time as possible with them. It's important to take a step back and evaluate, just as you said. So, definitely. We did get a question in the comment section, and it says, how can I help my child who is being bullied? So we have plenty of bullying resources on boystown.org. So if you want to go to our website and just search the line bullying, we have email guides, parenting guides, tons of resources on that. But Bridget, do you have maybe a quick tie-in related to bullying and healthy friendships?
well, my son was bullied, and what first thing I did was, USA. I got calm, because that's my baby,
Mama
and
bear.
that's yeah, yes, you don't want the mama bear showing up. That wouldn't be, but I did want to get involved and I did want to voice concern and I was going to be my son's advocate. And that's what I'm supposed to be, his advocate when there's something going around. And then we found out that that person was bullying a lot of children, not just my son. And so got and did a strategy with the school, with the bus driver, because it was happening on the bus. So it's not always happening in the school. And talked to my son about what is he supposed to do so he could feel safe. And he needs to feel safe in his environments. And so we needed to talk about that. So and it all worked out. But getting involved, thinking up strategies, and then making sure those are followed through by everybody involved, not just your kid. Just don't send your kid back out and go deal with that or fight him off. Those are not always the best answers to things to help children through a bullying situation.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think getting involved, like you said, and finding way more resources on our website too to help, and we hope that the situation improves for you. Okay. How can I help my teen improve their self-esteem and stop looking for so much validation in their current relationship and friendships?
Hmm. Well, I would definitely say I use a 4-to-1 ratio with kids who seem to have a low self esteem. So if for every time I correct them, I try to find 4 of the times to praise them. So I know that they're being praised and encouraged. I also, with kids who seem to have a low self esteem, ask them to do self affirmations each day
Mhm.
because it's important for them to see themselves. So look at themselves and say positive things to themselves. I try
Right.
to, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I just said right.
Thank you there, Gabby. So I like that affirmation. Thank I try to provide them with opportunities to help others. Sometimes when you have a low self esteem and you help someone else who is in a real situation, you go, hey, I don't have it that bad. I'm okay. I remember taking my son. He was helping people in wheelchairs, and he's like, "Well, okay, I'm okay. I'm doing okay, and I need to be grateful and thankful for my life, right?" So helping sometimes puts things in perspective as well, and then teaching your child the social skills to be like advocating for themselves, having a voice in a situation, and as well as respecting others. So those are actual social skills that you can look at and go up to our Boys Town Press and buy a book on social skills that will have those kind of things in there. And when you give kids those tools, it lasts a lifetime. And so when you send them off to college or they get in relationships, you'll know that they have those skills no matter what, and even when you're not around.
Right. Definitely. Social skills will carry you, like you said, right through life. So we will make sure to link that book at the Boys Town Press here in the comments too. And that is another great resource that Boys Town has that I advise all of you parents watching to check out, the Boys Town Press. So they have all different books for all different ages to, not only teach your child these skills, but also give different situations to model them after. So that's awesome. Okay, let's see. I believe that this is our last question, which we've already
Okay.
discussed some of them, but what other resources does Boys Town offer on helping teens build healthy relationships and friendships?
Well, just there's a ton of things. If you go up to our Boys Town website, you're just going to just tumble into so much stuff that you'll be a little overwhelmed. But Your Life, Your Voice is a great tool. I am in love with this tool. I love their text. I love their app. You can use the hotline. They actually will, talk to your kid. Or you someplace safe that people will give your kid the right advice. On our Boys Town site, there's wonderful downloadables, and you can ask the experts if you have questions up there. And of course, a plug for Common Sense Parenting. You can always come to a class and talk to other parents who are going through the same thing with their teenagers, and feel self-assured that, wow, I'm going in the right direction, or get some insight on resources that are out there in the community.
Right. So whether it's dating, friendships, bullying, struggle in school, any of these issues are covered in our Common Sense Parenting classes. And it's important to note that they are virtual right now. So no matter where you live, you can find a class just by searching in your zip code. And we will link our Find a Class page in the comments too. So, Bridget, thank you as always. Your advice is so, so appreciated, and we are very grateful that you could join us today to talk about this important topic.
My pleasure. Stay warm out there, Gabby.
Yes, you too. And if you liked this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if there's any other topics you would like us to discuss, please Leave those in the comments or send our page a message. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.